Parents, what you say to your child after a game or a trial could either be bringing them up or it could be breaking them down. You could be building their confidence, or you could be unintentionally destroying their confidence. Now, we say this all the time, and I personally see this as well, whereas parents not sure what their words are actually doing. Sometimes kids are coming off the game disappointed, not because of the result, but what was said to them. My name is Coach Jackson, and my goal here is to help young athletes become more confident, more resilient, and just happier, because we know this world and society be a better place with young people who can become leaders, and that's what I believe in. So today I want to share with you what to say to your child after a setback. Now, there'll be 4 things we're going to cover today. There'll be things that we do not want to say to our child. So the worst things we can say to our child, how your words actually have impact, sentences and phrases and things you can say to help foster a growth mindset, and then strategies to help your child through disappointment. Now let's start with number 1, the worst things you can possibly say to your child. Now, these might not be the worst. Obviously, there's probably gonna be way worse things you can say, but today we're gonna cover a few things that are commonly said with parents. And parents mean well. They don't mean to try to disrupt the child's belief system or lower their confidence or any way or form. They want their child to be better, but they sometimes don't realize that their words can be unintentionally destroying their resilience, their confidence, and perspective of what success and failure should actually mean. The 4 things that I hear commonly is, why did you do that? Or you could have done this instead. Now, what you're doing is you're trying to coach your kid because you want to help and support them do better. But what you're doing is you're criticizing them, and you're also not leaving the coach to do their job. You're destroying trust between the player and the coach, your child and the coach. Your coach has a massive role, but if you start trying to coach your own child and tell them what to do, where is your son or daughter gonna go now when they need support? They're gonna go to your coach or they go to you? Mommy and daddy aren't gonna be there when they're applying for a job and trying to get further in their life, in their career, in university or whatever. Mom and daddy can't be there to hold your hand all the time. So parents, stop trying to coach your child. Let the coaches do their job, because what you're doing is you're criticizing them, first of all, but then they're gonna think, oh, I need to go to mom and dad for attention. I need to go to mom and dad for approval or validation. And what you're doing is you're creating dependency for approval on you, and that's not what we want. We need your child to be able to learn how to learn from other people, learn from coaches, and not go to you. You're the parent, just be supportive. Now, other ones I've heard constantly is, you let your team down, or why didn't you win? Those sentences right there all change perspective from growth and handling challenges to then on the results. As parents, reacting to a game based on the result, like, oh, they lost, you got really upset, and you're personally down. Like, as a parent, if you're down because your child's under 14's club soccer game, they didn't win, and you get actually emotionally reactive to it, what is that telling your child? First of all, you're telling that the result matters more than anything. And second of all, you're telling them that you only care if they win. Win or lose, your child's worth and value does not change. But what you're also doing is, like I said, you're changing the perspective of what success looks like. You're changing it to result rather than growth, learning, and challenges. Like we talked about in the past videos with the growth mindset, your mindset for your child needs to be orientated around the process of failing, learning, adapting, and then repeating that process over and over again, because they're gonna keep getting better every time they learn. But if you keep putting emphasis on, why didn't you win? Why didn't you do this? You let your team down. When you say those type of words, you're changing up how they think about success. And that's not what we want. And I know you don't want that. So you gotta make sure you really bite your tongue in sometimes. I know, I'm competitive. I really wanna win. One day with my kids, I want them to also succeed and do well. But if I keep pushing them to do better for only the results, that's gonna push them away from the actual potential. Now, number 2, how your words have impact on your child's motivation, self-belief, and confidence. Your words are very, very powerful, whether you know it or not. Personally, for me, I still remember the words my mom used to say to me while I used to play sports. It's like it was yesterday. I remember my mom yelling from the sidelines saying, let's go, Jay, leave it on the field, put it all out there, all those type of things. She encouraged me to push really hard. She never told me about, you have to do this to win, you have to push, you have to not let your team down, or stuff like that. She always said things that encouraged me to put more effort in. She always said, let's go, Jay, leave it on the field when I played rugby. When I did athletics, she said, leave it on the track, leave nothing left, push yourself. And she would just say that over and over and over again. Whatever sport I played, same words applied to everything. And to me, that was the most amount of motivation I can have. Every time I heard those words, I just thought, I gotta push harder. I remember when I did cross country and we were doing a 5K run. You don't see your mom right beside you every single time. But every time I saw my mom, I could hear those words and I just kind of started pushing a little bit harder. It really did motivate me, and I really appreciate my mom for doing that. She praised me on the right things. She encouraged me to put an effort and not just to win. She didn't really care if I win or lost as much as I was proud of the way I left that field, that court, or whatever. And that's what I mean is your words are so powerful. Your words become the inner voice for your child. When your child starts playing sports, they don't just sometimes hear their own voices, they hear you even though you're not speaking to them right now in that moment. I still remember those words like it was yesterday. Now, your words, like I said, have a massive impact and they play a big role in their own self-talk. So what I mean is if you start saying things like, why aren't you more aggressive? What you're doing is you're being critical about them and they're not gonna hear exactly what you say. All you're gonna hear is what they think you mean. And so if I tell a child, why aren't you aggressive enough? They might hear, I'm not good enough. The words have power behind them. They might not actually hear what you're exactly saying. They might interpret it a different way. So for myself, I would just focus on praising from the effort rather than focusing on why didn't you win, or focusing on why can't you be better, why have you done this, why aren't you pushing hard enough, stuff like that. Instead, you want to focus on the long-term growth with them. Because if I keep saying certain things, it gets inside their head a little bit and they're gonna remember it for the rest of their life. Now, I love my mom and dad. One thing that I didn't appreciate as much is I struggled a lot more in school. And I did hear a lot all the time that my grades weren't good enough, I wasn't getting to university. If I wanted to do kinesiology or exercise sports science in Australia, I had to get better grades. I worked so hard to try to get my grades up, but I can't seem to get them up. And school just wasn't for me that way. But once I applied myself in an area that I loved, I did really well. Now, mom and dad loved me. They wanted to push me to a certain level and they wanted to lift me to a certain standard, but I just struggled. And I guess for them, they kept wanting me to push harder in academics. And they just said to me, it's like, you gotta do better. This is not enough. And that's where I started feeling like I was dumb. Now, obviously, I don't think I'm dumb anymore. I've learned and grown a lot as an individual, and a bit more self-awareness about myself. And I love mom and dad, and I love them to bits. That was the one thing I remember that kind of put me down a little bit. And we talked about it, mom and dad, and it's a lot, and they understand now. And I think parents, we're not perfect. No one's perfect. And parenting's very difficult. It's a trial and error type thing. You don't really realize what your words can do until later. And so parents, just take it from my advice is be really mindful of saying, that's not enough, you're not pushing hard enough, that's not good enough, stuff like that. Because they're gonna feel like deep down, they're not enough. They're not athletic enough, they're not smart enough, they're not talented enough. They'll start thinking that way when you say, this is not enough, you need to push harder, you need to do this. We don't hear your words as kids, we just think about the meaning. Now, number 3, phrases to foster a growth mindset. Now, this is something my mom and dad were very, very good at. I don't think they didn't realize it until I got older and I reflected on it with them. The words are saying, I just love watching you play. I just love watching, supporting you. You know, mom and dad were just so proud of me because I worked so hard. They didn't care about anything else. Yeah, I just remember those words so deeply that they just love supporting me, love being there for me. And when you hear those type of words as a kid, what you realize is, oh, my worth and value is not determined by the result. They just want to see me do my best, and they love watching me. That's all you need to do as a parent. The next thing you can kind of say as well, you don't have to actually give them comments or anything. If a child comes off the game feeling upset, or they're even happy they did well, you can always direct them away from the result and ask them, what did you learn from today, and what can you get better at for next time? What you're doing is creating your child to be able to solve their own problems, to learn and grow from the experience, whether they win or they lose. And when you do that, you're not telling them what to do, you're not trying to coach them what to do, you're giving them questions that's gonna change the way they think about success. Because if I tell you what to do, if I tell you the answers, I deprive you of the ability to think for yourself and challenge you to problem solve. So when you ask a kid, what can you learn from this? Or what can you do better next time? You're forcing them to start thinking and problem solving so they can learn and grow and develop from that experience. That's fostering a growth mindset. Another thing you can do as well is ask them, what did you do well today? It could be for school, even, not just sports. What did you do well today? Your child will think about their positives rather than just dwelling on the negatives as well. But when you tell them and ask them, what did you do well today? They're gonna start thinking about, oh man, they'll start reflecting and thinking, oh, I did well at this, I did well at this. And then you ask them, well, why do you think that? Oh, I did better at my footwork today. It's like, oh, I think all the extra training that the coach made us do really improved, really helped me. And so what you're doing there is now you're creating confidence in the kid thinking, oh, actually, I got better because I did this. So I'm gonna go do that again. And you're kind of wiring their brain a little bit up to seek a bit more reward and more growth because they realize, oh, the work has actually paid off. Now, next thing is, for me, I use this a lot with athletes in my gym, is that when I watch an athlete work hard, I say, that looks really challenging, you push through it though, and I love that. What I'm doing there is I'm encouraging athletes to push through challenges and become resilient. Saying that I love watching them challenge themselves and push through it. So when your child ends up losing in a game, struggling, and you say, just keep going on the sideline, but after the game, you talk to them like, man, that was a tough game, but you kept working hard and pushing through, and I love that. What you're doing is you're making your child think like, man, I enjoy challenges. And when you do that, you're also fostering a growth mindset. When they seek challenges, they will become resilient. When your kids hear this type of words and these types of sentences, you're really helping foster a growth mindset and making them change the way they think and feel about failure and success. And they're gonna more focus on the process, the struggle, the challenges, the learning, and the growth. So please, don't try to coach your kids. Support them to put the best work forward. Encourage them to challenge themselves and push through tough times. Now, number 4, the last one, strategies for disappointment. How can you help support your child through the tough times? Now, as a parent, you want to take any sort of pain away from your child. You don't want your child to hurt or be in pain or feel anger or feel sad. And unfortunately, a lot of parents are doing this today. And what you're doing is you're creating entitlement. You're depriving kids of resilience. Because if you take the struggle away from a child, what you're doing is you're teaching them that they can earn success without any struggle or challenges. For example, if you as a parent, your child doesn't make a rep team, and then you go on and send a lengthy email to the coaches and selectors, be like, why didn't my child get selected? And all of a sudden now your child sees that and sees, oh, mom and dad are trying to sort this out for me. What's happening is now your child's gonna think, oh, mom and dad will just sort it all out for me. I don't have to now worry about whether I lose, fail, make mistakes. So what we actually need to do, instead of taking them away and pulling them away from struggle and challenges, is we need to let them actually embrace them. So how we do that is, first of all, when they experience failure, mistakes, getting cut from a team, being benched, or just having a bad game, you need to give them space right away. Don't force your opinions down your child's throat and acting like, this is what you do next time, do this, do that. No, just let them settle with it. They're gonna feel emotion. That's just called being a human being. We all have emotions. We need to learn how to control them and regulate them. And moments like this gives your child the chance to build that skill of emotional regulation. If you try to soothe them with like, oh, let's go ice cream, let's go do this to make you feel happy, you're not allowing them to sit with their feelings and then accept the experience or the challenge that went on. Other thing as well, do not let your child sit on their phone after failure, getting cut from teams or whatever. Because what you're gonna do is they're gonna create an addiction, because the phones create a big increase of dopamine. And when you create a big increase of dopamine right after a lot of pain, that's when addiction is created to phones. The same thing to do with alcoholics or drug addicts or gambling addictions. And when people feel a lot of pain, they go to these things that create a big increase in dopamine, and then they get attached to it because now your brain thinks, this is how I soothe myself this pain. Same thing goes with phones. Now, number 2, to help your child get through a setback, is ask open-ended questions. Like we said before in number 3 here, phrases to help develop a growth mindset, is you ask them, what did you do well today? What could you have done better? What was your biggest key takeaway? How did you feel about the game? Those type of questions really help your child analyze, understand how they feel, build more self-awareness, and then problem solve. That's really important. I really want to emphasize that. Your child needs to learn how to problem solve and emotionally regulate. Number 3 is you want your child to learn how to reframe setbacks. If they fail at something, get cut from a team, get benched, and have a bad game, and you just go straight to blame game and being the victim, you're not helping your child. Instead of pointing fingers of why they didn't play well, get them to reframe the setback and think, hey, I struggled with this, I didn't do this well, okay, this is now a challenge for me to overcome so I can get better. You reframe the situation instead of, oh, I sucked because I did this bad, or I sucked because I got cut from this team. You're now making them think, what can I do about it next time? This moment won't define me, but my choices moving forward will. Number 4, share stories about how you got through your own challenges as a parent, or even as you were growing up. Or do you know a story of a past athlete or someone else who's gone through what they have? Personally, that's how I help a lot of my athletes with building confidence, is I tell them about stories that I've gone through, things that I had to get through, and how I overcame them. And what you do is when your child can see, is like, oh, is that what you did? Okay, I will try to do the same. Kids learn from seeing and learning from what other people do. So if you explain to them what you've done or what someone else has done, and they can emulate that, they'll build hope and confidence that they can still get to the top through this challenge, through this experience. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video and got a lot out of it, parents. We jam-packed a lot of information to this about what you shouldn't say, what you could say, why it's so important, and why your words have impact, and also give you a bit more strategies how to help your child get through disappointments. I hope it's really beneficial. I hope it's helpful for you guys, because honestly, this is a big problem that a lot of parents have talked to me about, and they just didn't know what to say or do. There's no instant fix. You're not gonna make your child more resilient quickly. This is gonna be after experience after experience. So, you might end up doing these strategies 50,000 times during their lifetime, but that's all you gotta keep doing, is because you gotta be consistent with helping them through disappointments and overcoming setbacks by the same process over and over again, because you will foster that growth mindset, you will foster resilience, and they will overcome so much more because you gave them the tools instead of trying to do it for them. So if you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, please subscribe, because it goes a long way in supporting us to be able to help more athletes and more parents by spreading this message across to everyone. Because we know if we can have a bigger impact on the youth, we can create more young leaders, build more confident people, build more self-belief in society, that we can overcome setbacks, failures, and everything that's in our way, and just create better human beings on this planet. And it just starts with you.